Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast. This is a 3 times weekly show looking into the exciting happenings of Ipswich Town Football Club, available on video and podcast. My name is Benjamin Bloom and we'll be here each and every Monday for this, the flagship show for a sometimes irreverent but always informative hour or more of football conversation. So make your Monday a Blue Monday, ladies and gentlemen. He is the king of the eye test. He'll tell you how good a player is in like 6 minutes of watching him. It's David Diamond.
All right, boys. How are you?
I'm good,
You
mate.
survived. How are you? I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I haven't been on with you for a while, Ben. It's almost like good, old times. Times. You survived your day-to-day, obviously.
Oh, my God. We'll talk about that. I was at the Birmingham Derby. We'll talk about that later. And then after we've hit record, I'll tell you what I actually saw.
That was literally like an episode from Peaky Blinders, wasn't it, almost?
Not good, Dave.
Christ,
not good. You and your mate, Jules, would have remembered some of that shenanigans going on.
Oh, seriously? Really?
Oh, God. Yeah.
Kicking off everywhere, was it?
Yes, I got out of there pretty sharpish, let's just say. And also welcoming from the wildly popular preview show and last time out host of this show, a big name on campus apparently, Richard Woodward.
Yeah, I know all the people in Warwickshire, honestly, on the back of my hand.
How you doing,
Yeah,
Rich?
I'm all right, mate. Yeah, I could have gone today. I was tempted by it, and I thought, you know what, it's a little bit nasty. It's Villa Park's a bit of a different atmosphere, but St Andrews pretty nasty. So I don't envy you having to make that trip today.
Got some stick actually.
I've been to St Andrews. I've been to St Andrews once years ago, and I can't really recall it. But is it just more intimidating in Villa Park?
I think so. Yeah,
it's a different
you walk
club.
Up a bit. Yeah,
or the area.
It's a different.
Area's
club,
a bit different. Yeah.
But yeah, I was just going to say, I got a bit of stick actually. Someone said, oh, Blues fans couldn't get tickets for this, but an Ipswich fan did. I'm like, birminghamcity.co.uk, tickets, buy, you know. Good luck. I don't have any connections. Someone who does have connections, though, Dave, is Luke Chambers. Now, Richard and Harry touched on this on the Friday show, linked with the Chicago fire in the Daily Mail this past week. Thoughts on that link, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, when I first saw it, I thought I wasn't really sure. But then I think he's quite close. I think he used to live fairly close to him. They all lived up that end of town, fairly close to Tommy Smith, of course. So, you know, looking into it a bit more, I think perhaps he's still quite close with Tommy and he's having a fine old time out there by all accounts. And yeah, it seems that, you know, on the face of what is he now, 32, 33, 32, obviously going down, going to take we'll get to that in a minute, but going to take, as we understand, a hefty wage cut. So yeah, on the face of it, there would seem to be something in that story. I don't know, but it wouldn't be out of the realms of belief, would it?
Rich, I was sat in row D yesterday. It's one of those seats where you can hear the players talking. Luke Chambers has to stay. I'm sorry.
Yeah, him and Scouse. I think we've said that they're probably not going to play as many games next season, but just the presence and just the experience, you can't buy that. Yeah, absolutely right.
Rich, Alan Judge in the provisional Ireland squad, named by a manager who we'll come on to in 2 items time. Good news for him. I'm guessing, is that the first time he's been back in since the injury?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good question. But yeah, certainly an endorsement for his form. I mean, a few chances to score goals, but he's just such a big presence for us, and he's everywhere. So yeah, good for him. Provisional squad, so obviously no certainty that he'll play or anything like that. But I think well deserved. Makes our chances of signing him a bit trickier, I guess.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, it must be the first time, 'cause I don't think he played. When did he come back for Brent? November, was it?
No, it was this time because him and Hyam came face to face in that ugly game where
end of last season,
accused.
Oh, he did. Yeah,
our
of course.
Fans of calling him out. So, but
okay.
Dave,
I don't know. I would have thought this would be the first squad he's been back.
He was dripped back in, and then they signed Ben Rama, and then it was like. You know.
Yeah, he's gone off the charts, isn't he?
I reckon Will Keane would have been in that squad as well if he hadn't got injured too.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
So, however, chances of us realistically keeping Judge in League One.
Yeah.
I know you read about his something about his contract being, was it more? I couldn't quite understand what that meant. More favourite towards the club, which I didn't quite follow. But look, who knows? Look, if he stays, we get him, and he stays in League One. Fantastic, because obviously you can have a better chance with him in your team squad. But be very surprised if he's still here. I really will.
Interesting. Town published their figures for the previous financial year, season 2017-18. These came out at 6 a.m. on Friday morning. Not much that we didn't already know, but a stark reminder. Dave, a few little tidbits. Lowest spend on players. This is of the figures that have been published by clubs so far. We haven't got all of them. Yeah. 8th lowest on wages, so 16th out of 24. Operating loss of 8.4 million last year. Squad cost of the figures out so far, 4th bottom. Just a bit of a reminder of where we are.
You're just not going to compete, and we are where we are. And I do agree in some respects that McCarthy did a great job. You can't deny that. He did a great job for 2 or 3 seasons. Of course he did. You can't deny that. But interesting chat that, I know you put that up with you or with the guy. Is it Kieran, the guy, the finance guy? Yeah, I mean, he made some interesting points, although he did lose me when he was summing up Ipswich twice. And you know what I'm going to say.
Did you see me? I no sold it though. Did you see?
I know you did. You're pretty good actually. I think I saw you wince a bit. It's not going to go down well. But it's all quite interesting. Nothing really that we didn't know, but just confirmed what we knew really, that we are paupers in the Championship, even, aren't we?
Richard, the full pod with Kieran we'll put out next week, 90 minutes. I learned a hell of a lot. And it kind of changed my mind a little bit in that really the only position people can now have on Evans that kind of holds some weight is he should have spent more money. That's really the only thing there is now, isn't there? Is how much of his personal wealth is he prepared to put in? He's a businessman. He decides, this 8 million. That's what I'm gonna prop it up by. There's a lot of kind of, if we had another owner, but basically the state of play is now, as a business without an owner's wealth, we are sadly a League One club. If it was self-financing, but then the question everyone asks, for goodness sake, the question everyone asks is there an owner who would put 15 million a year or 20 million a year in instead of, but then there's your FFP, your 3 years of that. Where are we going with this, Rich?
Is there a question?
Just your thoughts on the state of play with Evans.
So I recommend everyone to watch the little snippet videos you put out, because there's a really good one on the difference between an owner, a sugar daddy, and a benefactor.
Yeah, that was good.
And the risks inherent in all of those kind of. And yeah, you're right. I guess the accusation of Evans is he could have put more money in, but I think again what I kind of took out from it is Borough have spent a shed load of money on players in a similar period, and look where they are. Do you know what I mean? So the money doesn't ever guarantee you anything. I think the biggest thing we've always debated is what does Evans do off the pitch, managing behind the scenes and the structure. And I think that's been deficient for ages, and possibly now is being sorted out. So yeah, I think there's always a risk with, a Saudi businessman. So, someone comes in, a Thai owner or whatever, and wants to change the name of the club and change the colour of the shirt and all that stuff. And it ends up like Blackpool or Coventry or whatever. So better the devil you know, I guess.
Tell you what I would
Dave's
say.
Doing is in the no grin here.
Oh no, I'm not. I'll tell you what I would say to that.
Which word did I say there, Dave? Was it the word Saudi? No.
Christ Almighty. Just as well, Wolves got up last season. Then.
Oh my God.
It's £1 million a week, isn't it?
But Dave, the thing is and this will come out in Kieran's podcast. So the Sheffield Wednesday guy, the gamblers say, right, I've got a 3-year FFP window. I'm going to hammer it on the first 2 years and pull it back. Yeah. So if Wolves hadn't have gone up, then they would have pulled out. Mendes would have disappeared, and in the third year, Helder Costa's going to wherever for 9 million and a fire sale.
Neves and players like that, they'd have probably been okay. They'd have recouped it probably because they did so well. But that was just staggering, isn't it? 57 million loss is just unbelievable. All right, obviously made it back in spades now, and look like Christ Almighty. Look today, they're going to finish probably top 10, maybe even higher. Incredible, really.
But look out for the full podcast because it really does show you how broken the Championship is.
Just on another thing, something else I did learn about Wolves, and I don't know if this is true, but apparently their owner is even more wealthy than the Man City owners, apparently.
Yeah, the Fosun, the consortium has, quote, access to more assets than... there was a book I read, and I can't remember what it was called. I think it might have been a Michael Calvin one. And there was a quote from this Man City guy, and he was like, oh, it's no problem. Do you know how much a day we make from oil? And it was like...
Living on a volcano, wasn't it? Was that the one?
They were making 80 million a day from one
well, mate, I was
just
over there. I was over there 10 days ago. It's frightening. Absolutely frightening.
Brokering the takeover, Dave, yeah?
Sorry?
Brokering the takeover.
I can't possibly comment on that, Rich, at this moment in time. Watch this space.
There we go. Someone else who won't go away is Mick McCarthy, who Richard was asked in a Ireland press conference about whether he took any satisfaction in Ipswich being down the bottom. And he said, I quote, "It summed it up for me when Joe Garner got the equaliser against Wigan. And I texted him to say, well done, bet that pleased you today." And he came back to me and he said, no, Gaffer, still calls me Gaffer. I was speaking to Chambo today, and they all have wage cuts if they go down, and I feel for him. Richard, your thoughts on this?
So I pinged this onto the group chat when I saw this morning because it's an absolute minefield from from whatever perspective you're trying to read it from. Because firstly, it's obviously mixed, so that's going to rile a few people up anyway. I think he's going to be asked the question now, isn't he? And I guess the point that I'd take from it is he could have given a very short answer, which is it's a really sad situation, and hopefully they'll sort themselves out. And there's a lot of people I'm close to there. I'm really sad for them, and leave it at that. But he doesn't need to talk about 50 to 70%. He doesn't need to say careful what you wish for, which he did as well. I just think he needs to move on as much as we need to move on. It just always comes back to this, doesn't it? You can't let it go.
Still very bitter. There's a bitter man there still, isn't it?
I've got no axe to grind. Well, shut your face.
That's bullshit. Shut your face. He cannot let it go, can he? Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. Dave, you're both manager dudes. Do you text your ex-employees to congratulate them when they do some good energy work or insurance broking?
No.
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 Okay.
No one ever leaves. No one ever leaves.
Loyalty.
This is
Trust.
brilliant.
Reward.
You will never work in a place like this again.
And he knows. Ben knows.
Can I just say, from
Friend
age
first,
18
second.
to 20, yes. Literally, friend first, football compatriot second. Should we go to West Brom, gentlemen? The highest ground in England.
Yeah, it is.
Yes. So Ipswich away at West Brom yesterday. You were there, Rich. I was there. I'm sure Dave was along on the feed or on the commentary. West Brom up in fourth with their excellent manager, Darren Moore. And he selected the following team. Johnston in goal. Dawson at right back. Bartley and Adarabio at centre back, which... started to wave a big flag at me straight away. Connor Townsend, left back. Rich, this was a bit of a mess. I think it was supposed to... It looked like it started 4-4-2 and changed to 4-3-3 and then went back about 5 times in the first half. But I'll call it as a 4-4-2. So Phillips right, Livermore, Johansson, who Dave loves when he's got Tom Cairney next to him. Maybe not Jake Livermore, but Murphy down the left. Rodriguez and Gale, a partnership which must have plundered at least 30 goals this season. Let's get on to Ipswich. Białkowski in goal. Bree, Chambers, Knudsen and Kenlock. No, Pennington. Skews back in front of the back four with Nolan and Bishop slightly ahead of him. Edwards on the right. Judge on the left when the opponents were taking a goal kick and then just wherever the hell he wanted. And Quainer up front. Dave, no Pennington, Knudsen in at centre half. Sort of 4-3-3 shape with Judge roaming, Quainer up front on his own. Your thoughts?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Pennington was I think it was ill or something. I think that was fairly a late on in proceedings. Yeah, I mean, I quite like, I said before, I prefer Knudsen at left centre back, perhaps, albeit in a 3. But I think he was the only option really. And yeah, Quainer, I mean, when I heard the side, I was a bit disappointed that we weren't. I know we're away at West Brom, okay, so perhaps he's thinking a bit damage imitation, but perhaps a little bit disappointed that we weren't playing 2 up. But sounds like, I mean, Judge had such a free role anyway that perhaps sometimes we were, sometimes, more often than not, we were sort of thing. No, I mean, I like the 3. I mean, Judge, Bishop, and Nolan. I mean, it's quite fluid, isn't it? I like that. I really did like that. West Brom, when I heard the West Brom, front 5, 6, I was frightened. I was scared, to be perfectly honest.
But Rich, they were a mess, and he got this very, very wrong, didn't he? Look, we'll get onto it because this is the 2018-19 season. Ipswich are going to make a mistake and then concede a really muggy goal within the first 5 minutes. So
horrible.
It's a poor header by Kenlock inside Rich. Gale taken down by Knudsen. Rich, you had a better view of this than me. I'm giving Knudsen a pass on this because Kenlock sold him down the river. Am I right?
For the foul?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he was sold short. And is it a body check? I'm trying to remember back. I think
it was clumsy.
It was. It was. You've left me 1-on-1 with a 70-30 on the edge of my own box. Is what it was.
Did you see the look he gave him on the TV on the EFL? Did you see the look he gave Kenlock? It's look at what have you done? Sort of thing.
Yeah. Rich, take it up from here because we try and be so balanced on here, but come on, how unlucky do you want to be?
Yeah, this is the kind of goal that we've conceded all season, and the thing is as well. So it's 4 minutes here. This is the first proper action in the match. I think there's a positive atmosphere in the away end, and this just kills it temporarily until we kind of come back into it. And it's a crappy free kick. I don't know if Janssen's he's expecting the wall to jump because it's quite a low free kick.
The old Dean Windass underneath, yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. And it just takes a totally massive deflection. I think it's off Kenlock as well, Knudsen, isn't it?
Yeah. Knudsen's poor. Knudsen's poor in the wall.
Do you think?
Yeah, I do. He's sort of distracted. I thought at first when I saw it, he was pulled. I think was it Matt Phillips or could have been Livermore or Phillips in front of him. And I thought, oh, he's been pulled. When the wall moves, when Johansson puts it, and the wall sort of moves across. But he seems he's not. He's sort of distracted, and he turns his body. He doesn't keep his body straight, and he sort of turns. It's not great.
Given the wall's broken, it's not done its job, has it? So if the wall stands up to that, I mean, there's a chance it goes underneath. But it just the bar is totally set by the flex.
Right,
it's going one post, ends up the other side, and it's 1-0. And I think, and everyone's kind of thinking, right, this is the games we've seen up and down this, all season we've seen this.
Yeah. Sorry, Rich. Dave, to your point, if I was gonna praise Jonas Knudsen on anything, it would be how brave he is. But now this is the same criticism for the Tom Lawrence goal against Derby, where you get a shot booted at you.
Yeah,
and
odd one.
He turned and that.
He did. No, he did. He turned. It was an odd one. Yeah, he turned. I say whether you give him a little bit, whether he was distracted by the movement. I think it was Phillips. I think it was the movement in the wall. Maybe so. But if he keeps his body shape straight, the ball hits him. Shit. If he misses it completely, I mean, Bart. It was going straight to Bart. I mean, he just picked it up probably like this. He wouldn't even have to almost die for because he was positioned that side. It was an awful free kick.
There's no pace on it, was there?
I think Rich is right. I don't know. It was one thing or the other. Perhaps was he looking to go low? It was awful, really. But yeah, just typical of us.
Absolutely typical that you're sat there, mistake and a fortuitous goal against you within 4 minutes. But with no hint of bias, I just have to say that every time we do something good this season. For the rest of the half, Ipswich probably the better side, but also typical of the season.
Do you think?
Yeah.
I think we were better on the ball. They had the better chances, though.
I was just going to say that. Typically of this season, in the penalty boxes, we still conceded probably the 2 best chances. But I think in the main, and Paul Lambert said it himself, and we've said it on the show, between the 2 penalty boxes, we're a fairly decent team, and then in both of them we're not. So Bishop has a good drive through the midfield. That's his kind of trademark. There's a chance on 6. Quainer lays off for Edwards. He's blocked out for a corner. In from Judge. Ends up with Quainer laid off to Chambers, who horrible left foot finish. No techers on that one. Over the top. Judge on 12. Nice feet. 10 position. Hits it low, wide, right-footed. Skews with a takedown on Phillips. We did continue our pattern of conceding a litany of free kicks around the edge of our box, which makes me very scared every time. West Brom.
There was a lot of shout that the referee was a bit of a homer, and which was obviously a difficult word to shout out in a public place in 2019 from the guy next to me. But we thought that in the away end that there was a lot of iffy decisions that they were getting that were probably 50-50 at best.
Yeah, I'm sure if you swapped and sat in the other end, they'd be saying,
they're shouting for him,
exactly the other way, weren't they?
Yeah, this guy shouted it the whole game. The ref's a homer. It's like, mate, do you know what? Maybe don't.
So one of these chances, and this is what I mean, Rich. They didn't really create anything. Townsend flicks on. Chambers comes too far forward, gets too tight on Murphy. He rolls him and then has a run down the channel. I think Bart's quite comfortable on this one. Really good save though, because there's others following in. He could have palmed. He had good soft hands.
Yeah, it goes out. Yeah.
For that one, doesn't he? Bree into Judge on the right. Fees Edwards shot there over. Bishop with another drive on 28, and then from this corner, goodness me, Chambers in on the back post, Dave, and it's a kind of scuffy.
He just doesn't react to it, does he? Obviously,
it lands quite high up though, doesn't he? Does it hit him at chest height?
I'm not sure. I just thought he misses it completely, doesn't he, or not? He's not the one I'm thinking of.
He's free, and it
free at the back post for the corner, yeah.
Yeah, and it just kind of scuffed. It's just weird that the two chances fell to him, but big chance here. West Brom, their centre midfield was hopeless as soon as Judge was coming across way too deep with wide players. Massive hole in the middle of the pitch. Nolan, beautiful chip over. As it goes over, I was thinking, oh God, Quainer. But it's actually, he actually gets out of his feet pretty quickly, spins.
Traps the ball really nicely. He does that really well, actually.
And good save, Rich, by Johnston, because sometimes you see them go through the keeper's legs, don't you?
Yeah, it's a good effort there.
Yeah, good chance for West Brom inside. All the chances just come from them getting Murphy one-on-one down the right hand side. Not to say that Bree played badly, because I'm quite a fan of Bree actually, especially when we get to this goal in the second half, and it gets chest off and Gale pretty poor. But do you know what? I've seen Dwight Gale and Timu Pukki this weekend both have about 4 clear chances and not score any of them. They'd normally score 6 of those 4 chances, wouldn't they?
Ratio normally, yeah.
Good save again from Bialkowski. Johansson chips it in, chested off. Murphy low volley, and then from the corner, I think was it Adarabio on a near post, Rich? It's straight at him though, but it's
straight at him, but it's close in. I'm travelling as well. He's directed it really well back on goal. Good save. Bart was great yesterday.
Bart was at
it.
He was at it yesterday. He really was.
Yeah, he said,
Knudsen plays the channel here. Quainer into Judge. Judge is going to score this goal sooner or later from the left corner of the area where he curls it round the keeper. He's tried it about 5 times since he's been here. Town free kick to end the half. Judge deflected over, and then from the corner, big handball shout. And the way Craig Dawson walked off for half time made me kind of feel it might have actually hit his arm, but it would have been harsh. Hello, Dave. They've finally changed the ruling. They're removing the word deliberate now. It's all to do with
silhouette or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all to do with a body silhouette now. I can't wait.
Sorry, this weren't what as a result of what happened in Paris on Wednesday evening, was it?
Right, yeah, in the Man United game.
It's very similar to that actually, but looking at it on the TV on the replay, it looks like it hits him somewhere around about the shoulder.
I've not seen the replay. So yeah, it would have been. Would have been a harsh one.
Well, the rule now is whether that's an abnormal body shape compared to a silhouette where the head should. VR is not going to clear that up at all, is it?
I mean, I know we're not talking about that. How that ever was a penalty in France, God only knows. But there you go.
The issue is that we don't see the directives, do we? We see the law, and then they're given a directive. And I'm quite sure that the referee has been told before to give that as a penalty, but we don't know.
Funny. Who jumps like this? No one jumps like this because you have leverage to jump any.
I just think it's going to get to the point, where people wrongly say about last man or out of control or whatever. It's going to start. He turned his back, and that will be the informal language. I think you're stitching yourself up now. If you start to turn your back and it hits your arm, I think you're going to get penalties because it's like you're not even facing the ball. So that's just a kind of guessing. But Rich, do you take my point that those couple of chances, one from a corner, one from Chambers getting too tight, I just thought in the main, in the first half, we were the better side.
On the ball in the centre of midfield, I 100% agree. And I thought Bishop was excellent yesterday. I thought Nolan was really good too. Scouse was kind of doing a useful job and recycling the ball quite well. But the ball from Nolan to Quainer for that chance was lovely. It was lovely just played it really nicely, deliberately meant it. Nice dink.
He did have about 10 seconds on the ball before
which
it was a beautiful pass. Yeah.
Makes a change. Yeah, but I thought Bishop was making a real difference as well yesterday. I thought he had a really excellent game. So you're right, and as you said at the start, West Brom's formation was weird. I think it was 4-4-2 in defence and maybe 4-3-3 in attack. I think there was a point where there were 5 at the back as well.
Phillips barely touched the ball, Rich, did he?
Yeah, and the rotation just didn't work for them yesterday. And we'll talk about it in a bit, but that was a symptom maybe of what happened after the match. Maybe
it sounded like that we had. Obviously, we had more possession than them. That's been a feature this season. We're certainly under Lambert, more possession. And we've always said, but look how deep we've had the possession, knocking it about at the back and stuff. But it seemed that we had better possession yesterday, a little bit further up the pitch, perhaps.
Yeah, totally agree. Rich,
and we were breaking as well because they couldn't figure out their formation. There was so much space for the likes of Bishop to dash into and Judge as well that it was making a real difference.
Did they have? Was Barry on the bench? Was he on the bench at all?
Might have been on the
pass. I can tell you in 1 second.
So did it not cry out for?
No,
right.
Barry there.
Yeah.
Also, I think Holgate was a big miss, and
it's
just weird when you have Adarabio and they kind of don't trust him to be right back, so they put him centre back. That might be overstating it, but I see
how was the lad? Because weren't we interested in that Townsend? There was talk of us.
Yeah,
that.
Solid, quite little, but like Kenlock, but just a little bit more solid. If you get my drift. Moving on, second half. Rich, Jackson on for Quainer. Why did that happen?
I think Lambert said, is it an injury or is it the illness that's gone around?
Yeah, I think he was.
Quainer didn't have a great first half, but I don't think it was a tactical one because the formation didn't change. And we'll talk about Jackson a bit later. I thought Quainer was all right, but didn't get a huge amount involved.
No. Edwards, yellow for a tug back on 46. But Dave, on 48, let's throw it out there. Probably, no, Freddie Sears has scored a couple of really good goals. But one of the best goals we've had in this godforsaken
It's really nice.
Season.
It's really nice.
Take it away.
At the start, it's really good by Edwards. Quite tenacious play from Edwards. I think wins the ball, wins a second ball for once. And this is pretty poor for West Brom because Judge makes a run pretty much. When he makes a run, he's level with Edwards and they just let him run. And it's quite a good ball. So Edwards lays the ball in sort of right side of the penalty area. Judge takes it in his stride, looks to whip it over first time as he gets to the byline. It's blocked out by a defender. Could be a Rabio, I call him. Rabio. And then it gets ridiculous because it goes to Bree and
on the half volley, Dave.
First time.
No. I think he's putting this in an area. Fair play. But he clips his half volley side foot. It's a difficult skill. And he just clips it in first time, right foot, side foot, and just picks Nolan out, who's making a late run. And I think you much to Amy's disgust, you already said it was Matt Holland-esque. And it's a proper header, isn't it? He sort of arches his back and meets it on the foot.
Dave, on the XG, that was 0.0001 as Nolan goes up. I'm just joking.
Okay. Absolutely buries it in the corner and transpires that when we learn afterwards, never scored a headed goal before. I mean, you just wouldn't believe it. But the cross from Bree is just sublime. It's ridiculous. But it's a good goal. And by the sound of it, and they're saying on the radio down a little bit, I saw much deserved. Yeah, really much deserved.
Richard,
it's a great goal.
Richard, we joked that John Nolan turned into Frank Lampard against Derby. Did he turn into Tim Cahill there for a second?
It was lovely. And the shame is he didn't really massively celebrate it. I would have gone absolutely crazy if I'd never scored any.
Though?
I think he was shocked.
Knudsen went mental, which was great.
I mean, the two things that I'd call out are in the build-up, lovely passing triangles, really incisive, really fast running, really direct play. It was really nice stuff down that right hand side for that. And I totally agree with the cross was really nice as well. And the second thing is I listened to radio WM on the way home. Later on they did a special show because of what happened afterwards, which we won't spoil. And there's a guy, and apologies again for my West Midlands accent, I'm going to get out there. He's already edited anywhere. The keeper should save that. It's not even in the corner. It's not even in the corner. It's like, bloody hell, mate.
Even good as stats, bro.
White and blue specs. How dare you? I've lived up here for 10 years.
Great moment, though. Great moment because
we
haven't had many good moments this season, and they're all stacked up behind the goal, all the Ipswich fans. And,
right in front of us, wasn't it? That was good.
It was a lovely visual, him leaping and header in the corner. So
yeah, he could have jumped in and celebrated like Jack today, couldn't he? But
he might have got a kick off a steward.
Oh, Matt, don't. Come
there
on,
we
there's
go.
less we got to get to that.
Great throw out by Johnson on 54. Rodriguez touch, chips to Gale. He's 1v1 with Chambers. Chambers stands him up quite well, shoots over. Dawson and Adarabio have switched now, so Darren Morris kind of realised the obvious after about 55 minutes. Kenlock plays the channel, nodded in by Jackson. Judge dipping volley here. Whoosh, 2 yards further out. That's barring in. Love that. Lecco in for Phillips. Lecco, the only man who kind of takes more touches than... I'm trying to think of a player who takes way too many touches, but there you go. Where are we? Oh, now this is the big chance for West Brom. Corner goes in. They're not creating much, but bounces down and it falls to the right guy because it's Gale. Probably less than that, inside the 6 yard box. Yeah. And Bart really good again.
Sticks a strong arm out, doesn't he?
Yeah, Gale just doesn't really react to it. It's an odd one, isn't it?
I can't believe you're saying that, Dave. It seems ridiculous, doesn't it?
Yeah, he just doesn't really get a lot on it, does he? He makes it easy. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a great reaction from Bart, and he gets enough on it to get it away as well. But obviously, I mean, you were there. Gale wasn't quite on it.
Neither was Rodriguez.
Quite on it. I mean, I think what's best summed up. I mean, when you have Matt Phillips up against Kenlock, like for like, you think, yeah, this is going to be tough. It's going to be a hard day. But the very fact Phillips went off on the hour or whatever it was, is that a slant on? Is that with a nod to Kenlock? But as you said earlier, he didn't really get in the game anyway. But is that a nod to Kenlock?
I don't think Kenlock had anything to do. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ben. I can't remember. There was a few moments.
I have a tricky relationship with Kenlock because I so want him to be good. I really want him to be good, and there's just a few times every game where he's always gonna look from 5 yards over the halfway line into the attacking half. I think he's actually really good and good engine, and there's going to be some examples where he gets up and presses. I do just worry. I think he needs a really good what would Harry call it, a really good soft guiding hand next to him,
mentor
at centre, like Mowbray used to do with Bramble.
Tyrone Mings playing left centre back like he was for Villa today, that would be a absolutely perfect partnership, I think, for him. But mentally, I think it is, isn't it? It's positional sense
and
in
a little bit of
half,
strength upper body, which is strange considering
that's what he lacks a bit. That's when Knudson's got the edge on him, definitely.
But if he can just make the improvement, if he has an upward trajectory in his improvement, he's going to be a good player. But I've just got my fingers crossed for him. But there are limits. But hey, we just talked about the fact that we're a lower ranking championship club.
He's got a chance, hasn't he? Because we've not got hundreds of left backs.
And look at the players he's been up against recently. And yesterday was a case in point. Matt Phillips, for Christ's sake, how many Championship Premier League games has he played? He's a flyer, for Christ's sake.
Give me Jared Bowen at the end of the month as well, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Right. So that's pretty much it for West Brom's chances in this game. That one from the corner and a quick counter from a long throw out. So really, in the whole game, they barely played through us in terms of passing, other than a few bits down the side. And now Ipswich are going to have sort of 15 minutes where really they should have won the game. Nolan and Knudsen get Kenlock up the pitch, slides Jackson in behind, carries it into the box, goes for the near post, and he's blocked out. Rich diving because you'd have a better view of any of these three Caden Jackson chances. Could he have squared that up to anyone?
I'm trying to think because there was a few where he cut in from the left-hand side, wasn't there?
So Kenlock slides him down the line. That's Dave. That's the point I'm making. Kenlock was up the pitch, played a lovely ball down the line there. But
I thought, was this the one where it's blocked and Kenlock's actually following it in? Kenlock ends up in the penalty box.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it the one where it goes out for a throw?
Left. Yeah. I think so. I think a defender just.
Oh no, that's the last one of the.
That's the last one. Because the other one, because I think he has he gets a bit too close to the keeper, I think, and wants to put it across him and curl it into the far post. And actually, again, it's like last week. Puts it with power height, and the keeper's already going down. He might score there, but I thought he didn't contribute a huge amount of second half. Neither Quainer or Jackson really did for overall pattern of play, but his pace was good against Dawson yesterday, I thought, and he should have scored one of those chances.
We all know about Jackson. If you can actually get the guys up the pitch behind him, dare I say, a Buendia type player, and just have him running off the last man. He could be absolutely lethal if that was just his job.
Sorry, just while I think about it, just mentioned pace. For the first time yesterday, I went and watched the under-18s just quickly, just a side issue. And I think I've seen one of the quickest players I've ever seen, a guy called Zach Brown, who plays up front for the 18s.
Okay, we'll get Joe on him.
Honestly, get Joe. He is like lightning.
Where is he on the Dan James, Amanda Traore scale?
Oh, okay, yeah, they've got a few years on him, obviously, but he is quick.
Is that with the ball, Dave, or without, or both?
No, actually, a bit of both. But yeah, he was chasing. It was a bit windy, so it was flowing across the pitch, and the ball was going in the corner. Mate, he is so quick. Yeah,
what's his name again, Dave?
Zach Brown.
Zach Brown, lovely stuff.
Yeah,
Murphy yellow card on Edwards. A little bit of WWE stuff after that. Morrison in for Johansson. That's a comeback. Dave, what does... Oh, you alluded to your excellent eye test earlier. What does your eye test say about Simon Dawkins?
My eye test doesn't say much because I haven't really seen much of him, to be perfectly honest. I think I saw him. Did he have a little cameo? Was it Rotherham?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he came
against
on.
Rotherham and barely touched the ball.
The ball,
fell over.
Tried to run the ball out and gave it away.
It was all a bit Larson Toure for that game. But
oh my goodness.
But apparently yesterday, people, what I read, people were sort of talking him up a bit. And what they have said about him, apparently he's alive, but I think he's like early 30s and he's 30, 31, been around a bit. And he's quite good in the changing room. I think he's a bit lively and a bit of a character as well, which is great, you know.
So
and by the sound of it, you know, again, you read between the lines. Maybe he'll get some more game time between now and the end of the season, and an experienced player that could be useful next season, of course.
And do you think he might make a pass between now and the end of the season?
Rich? Is that right? Is he a bit? Does he?
He just can't get on the ball. I've never seen anything like it.
He can't get on the ball, or get rid of it. Oh, he can't land on the ball.
Sorry, Rich. Am I being unfair on Dawkins?
Well, when he did get on the ball, I think he made some pretty negative. There was a moment where I think he picked the ball up on the left hand side and could have turned and run with it, and chose to go back. And I would say he was tidy at best, but okay, like 6 out of 10, but nothing more.
Couple of long ranges from West Brom here, nothing really, and then we get into Muller time really. Chance for Ipswich. Nolan gets slid through. He looks a bit tired for this one and drags it wide, and then 2 chances in close succession for Jackson. The first one he gets in and Johnston makes a good save. The second one is the one we alluded to earlier where he's on the right hand side this time, but Dave, does a more tenured striker with more minutes score one of those 3 chances that Jackson?
Probably, yeah. You know, you give the keeper the eyes or something like that and put it near post, whatever. But
Waghorn.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. But then would Waghorn have had the pace? You know, he's getting the pace. You know, I see these chances, and it's his pace that has perhaps made these chances. Fair. So yeah.
Richard?
When it clicks, he'll score Hatfields.
So.
And he's another player like Kenlock who just needs a mentor because he's got the raw pace and athleticism. He's quite strong when he needs to be. It's just the choice when he's confronted with a goalkeeper in the goal. He just needs to be a bit cuter.
I think there's a potential partnership with him and Harrison. I really do. Yeah. I really do. Yeah, I really do because I think Harrison can be that target man. I think he's got it.
Which is weird because Hurst would have never planned that because he was a one up front guy, wouldn't it?
No.
Oh, so's Lambert though.
But so's Lambert. Yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Simon Dawkins has the ball falls to him from a corner and he snatches at it. He has a shot and it goes over the top. Well done, Simon. 85 fielding for
SD.
After the way you spoke about Shane Duffy for about 2 years, Dave.
His own goal calamity, mate. Shane Duffy, wasn't it?
That's one for long tenured podcast listeners.
Oh yeah.
Rich, this back four gets even more ridiculous when Adarabio gets injured and Field, who is a centre midfielder, comes in to play centre back. And
I thought that was an attacking change. That wasn't he was playing.
Well, Chris Brunt was supposed to come on, and he looked well pissed off, Brunt, because then they had to switch him out.
Brunt.
Where was Ahmed Higazi all this time? They really missed him, didn't they? Goodness. Field then nearly dismembers Jackson with his first action, yellow card there. 87, Nolan, poor touch. Lecco, 900 touches and then smashes it over. And that is all she wrote. Let me give you some statistics, gentlemen, before we move on. Ipswich, 22 shots to 16. 7 on target to West Brom's 5. the one big chance to nil in West Brom's favour, which was Gale's. More passes, 305 to 259. More passes in the attacking third, 143 to 95. They lose take-ons in 14 to 19. More crosses, 23 to 21. More tackles, 34 to 23. More interceptions, 11 to 7. And less fouls, 9 to 12. Richard, Ipswich played well yesterday.
Yeah, we did. And I guess if you're a West Brom fan, you're kind of looking at that thinking, how good were Ipswich? Because they're 24th and we're 4th, or how bad were we that we made them look that good? And I guess that's the issue, because we obviously know what happens after the match. We know they've been bad at home. We know they've been bad since Harvey Barnes has left. So I guess, are we just the latest club to kind of take advantage of a team that's a little bit confused? Changes yesterday as well. But I thought our passing football was really good yesterday. I thought Nolan, that might have been his best game for us that I've seen. Bishop as well.
Bielkowski's best game of the season, I think.
Bart was back at it as well. So I thought we deserved to win. Actually, the second half particularly, I thought we deserved to win the game. And West Brom, trouble and events happen afterwards.
Before we get on to that, David, just your summary on the game, and we'll talk a bit about Darren Moore and West Brom.
Yeah, I mean, I think that. I think you alluded to it, Rich. I think that Harvey Barnes has been a massive miss for them. I think he was the player that really, really made them tick. I know Rodriguez and obviously Rodriguez and Gale scored a lot of the goals. I think Barnes must have chipped in with a good few before.
He was on for double
was
figures.
It double figures?
Goals.
Yeah, he was quality. But
I think when he left, he was 9 goals and 6 assists.
And I believe he's gone straight into. He's playing week in, week out for Leicester. He's gone straight into the side alongside. I guess Maddison. I assume. So he's an absolute massive miss for them. I think that's and it's just a little bit more settled side. I mean, I love it. You know, Judge, Bishop, Nolan. There's just more flair there, isn't there, for Christ's sake? Which is, at some stages, maybe, certainly earlier part of this season, certainly last season, there was nothing there. What do you say? 22 efforts on target? Jesus Christ, we didn't have that in 5 games last season at times.
Not 22 efforts on target, 22 efforts on goal.
22 efforts on goal, so not on target. Yeah, but you know what I mean? There's just total. Say revelation, but it's just such a difference. Yeah.
You put Waghorn in that team yesterday, we would have won.
Well,
we're just lacking that quality striker, aren't we? I mean, sadly it feels like it's too little, too late. But the way we're playing now, if we continue to play like that, find someone who can score goals. If it suddenly clicks or Harrison comes back, we'll win a few more games before the end of the season. It'll be a really nice confidence builder before next season.
No, and we need to. I think you, Rich, or Joe said it earlier on the group chat today that we really do need to string a few good performances and hopefully get a few wins, between now and the end of the season. I mean, as a result yesterday, it's going to be difficult for us even to move above Bolton probably. But look, if we can get a few good wins, it will it'll improve.
I think I might be a bit more confident than both of you. I genuinely think it might be pattern of play ahead of a goal scorer. I think once they start getting people up the pitch and comfortable and actually creating, those big chances, I think Jackson can put some away. It's just we just haven't got near the goal all season, have we? Sounds ridiculous.
Well, we didn't get close to the goal last season either. We just had really good individual players, didn't we? Waghorn would score
really
from
good
a free
set
kick
plays.
Exactly right. And I think that's the positive for me out of yesterday is the way we're playing. We weren't going direct. We were actually doing these triangles. Harry calls them the convalent bonds, the partnerships they're forming now.
No, absolutely. Yeah, I think and sounded like Bishop was pretty good yesterday. Yeah.
Did he go off injured though, Ben?
No, they're just giving him 60 minutes, 70 minutes, 60 minutes, 70. Lambert's actually managing him.
Player. He can be an outstanding player for us.
Well, and what I've always said about players who have one trademark move is just look after them in the game, and if 3 times during the game he's going to carry the ball from, and there was one I didn't mention where Bialkowski punches it out. He runs over to the left touchline, flicks it over whoever was marking him, and literally drives with the ball for like all of. I mean, you talk about getting up the pitch and an effective press. Well, stick Ted Bishop in your team, and by himself he can move you 40 yards up the pitch in one of those drives. Let's move on and talk a little bit about Darren Moore then, because I googled it yesterday just to see because I knew it was coming. Gary Lineker. West Brom are 4th in the league. What are they doing? Ian Wright. West Brom are 4th in the league. And I love Ian Wright. You know I love Ian Wright. Robbie
Yeah.
Savage. West Brom are 4th in the league. Why are they second in the But Rich, there's more to this than just West Brom being 4th in the league. So Moore gets fired, hour after the game?
Yeah, if not in the changing room, that's what I heard.
Wow.
Changing room at full time was the rumor, and we talked about this last week on the flagship with Joe, who called out. We talked about it in the preview show. From the kind of outside in, you kind of look 4th in the league, top scorers, I think, top 5 scorers in the whole of the football pyramid. Darren Moore's won manager of the month 3 to 3 months of the season as well. But it's just not worked since Barnes has left since Christmas. I don't think they've won a home game since Boxing Day.
No.
And the battering they took at Leeds must have taken the confidence out of them. But you look at them yesterday, Ben, we've seen teams where you can kind of tell it's the end because heads have gone down, the players look confused, there's a 50-50 they might kind of go, do you know what, I might have tried a bit
that one's on the
a few weeks ago. And it kind of had a sense that maybe people knew there was stuff happening off the pitch. West Brom, in terms of your finances stuff that we talked about at the start, have gambled big financially to get promoted back. And I think that's part of the motivation as well. So again, we know all about the kind of press having an opinion on something from outside, having not watched the club. In terms of McCarthy, and I think we just need to be careful about having the whole picture. But it is a shock, and it is a disappointment when anyone, particularly a club legend, loses their job at a team like West Brom.
Dave, we saw this at Norwich with Alex Neil, where it looked like the ownership waited until he couldn't make the playoffs, and I don't think it's a coincidence that West Brom went 9 points off the top 2 with 10 to play yesterday. And Dave, you can go back to stuff we've done on this channel in October, September, and said, "Oh, well, the players are good, but I'm not quite sure what's happening there." So,
fair play. They gave him a go. I mean, I think they had a really good run. Let's say good run. They were down pretty much when he took over, but I think when they undefeated in April last month of the season, beat Man U,
Spurs,
I think they beat Man U.
Well, that was one of the manager of the months that Richard just mentioned, wasn't it?
Probably was. But look, the bigger pitch here, they've got very impatient Chinese owners.
But Dave, are they impatient?
Well, I don't know.
This is the thing. This is the thing, Dave. Sorry. Just I'm going to dive in on my, and I'm not pretending I know everything about football finances because I've spoken to a guy for an hour and a half. I don't. But what I do know is that if you go down from the Premier League, you've got 3 years of parachute payments, and if you don't get back up, you are screwed. And it'll take an unlikely promotion, like Norwich might do this season, or Huddersfield did, or anyone who's come through. Otherwise, you're screwed, and unless your Leeds and your attendances are massive, but then not even that really matters. So, are they really that impatient?
Well, maybe not. I mean, look, I think they just assumed maybe that they would be top 2. And I think everybody else did. Look, at the start of the season, look at their squad, look at their firepower in their squad. I thought they'd walk away with the league. I really did. And it just hasn't happened. And I think, and that one player, I'm sorry, one player doesn't make a team. I think he is the one player that they.
Dave, we're going to talk about Aston Villa later. One player does make a team.
Well, okay. Well, yeah, all right.
It's what you've replaced him with. So they could have, if they wanted to spend money in January, they could have replaced Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, they could have done.
They got him Murphy, who's an out-and-out winger, and they don't play a system that needs wingers.
Clearly they don't without Phillips as well.
So I think tactically the last few weeks it's just shown a bit of desperation. I think that might be a factor.
I think one of us said on the pod last week that after the thumping they took at Leeds, and I think it was you, it might be me, I can't remember, and we said that is he. He's more in a bit of trouble with. Is he under scrutiny?
We had a debate, didn't we?
I think we did because are they going to get someone in for the last push, assuming they'd have beaten us yesterday and be sort of more than 5, 6, 7 points rather than what they are 9 points away. And there's talk that
is there going to be a sexy Yugoslavian in the dugout, maybe?
Or a German, by all accounts.
Yugoslav, German. Oh, okay, interesting.
Wagner.
I'm not supposed to say Yugoslav. What is Jukanovic?
Serb, one or t'other. There's talk and could well be in attendance by Wednesday. So given that, if that's right, then it's been lined up, hasn't it?
Yeah.
The result yesterday was okay. Get a result at Ipswich. Get a thump Ipswich, which I guess they assumed, and we'll just put that in abeyance for now. But yeah, it's just come to a point.
Interesting, very interesting. Right, let's go to Twitter questions, gentlemen. Let's start with you, David. This is Dommy Boy 79, who's, I've always mentioned this because he's got Gene Simmons makeup on in his avatar.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think Kenlock is the answer at left back? When I watched him last week, he was a little slower than I thought, and worry about his engine up and down the pitch. Dave, Kenlock.
I think we covered this about 10 minutes ago, didn't we?
That was my opinion. What's yours?
No. I like Kenlock. I really do like Kenlock, and he has. I think I've defended him when others perhaps haven't this season. When he has come up against wingers like Ince. There are some bloody good wide players in the Championship. For goodness sake, well, Christ Phillips yesterday, for instance. So look, he's been in and out of the team. He was in, he was out. He's back in now. He's getting an extended run. I agree with you guys that he does need perhaps some experience beside him for sure. There is. I think there's a player there, and I think Ben, you maybe physically he's not quite. But then if you're comparing him with Knudsen, who is a physical sort of specimen, isn't he? Perhaps, but not such a good technical footballer. I think Knudsen Kenlock can thrive and really be our left back for years to come. I honestly can see that, but he just needs to kick on.
Yeah, good. Richard, Andy Grimes, we've not been able to follow up a good performance with another one. How can we change that trend at Bristol City? Streaky Leeds, Bristol City.
Oh, they're streaky, aren't they? Well, we just need to play exactly the same way. I think Bristol City are going to be desperate on Tuesday now because the playoffs is really the teams are all encroaching on each other up there.
They're
so
out now, aren't they?
there'll be pressure. Yeah, I think they're seventh. Yeah. So I think we just need to do more of the same. I think we do need to convert these chances. Like, Joe just had a lot of chances the last few games. Needs to score to them. Quainer and Jackson as well. We just need to convert the chances that we're obviously having now. Keep playing the same kind of style of football, I think.
See us going. How do you think it will fare if Kennington's fit?
Pennington.
I think
Kennington, I say, because I knew someone of Kennington.
Kenlock's on the bench,
fit,
Dave.
yeah. Sorry?
Kenlock will be on the bench and Knudsen will be left back.
So.
I'm pretty sure of that. I'm going to read Ollie Friston's, but I think we've dealt with it. He says there's been a lot of careful what you wish for-ing on Twitter about Darren Moore. Phil Harspach seems they lack direction and top two wasn't realistic, hoping for a new manager bounds for a playoff campaign. You see, he's done that far more succinctly than we did there, hasn't he? Dave, this is Ian, who we met at the live show. What do you guys make of the Sun article on our fans versus Oliveira? I thought the chants were on reflection in bad taste, but as usual with lazy journalists, they failed to talk about our history with Nelson.
Don't read the Sun, didn't see the article, so you'll have to enlighten me.
I believe it was having a pop. I think it was an online thing, Richard.
Yeah, he said, needless to say, Nelson Oliveira had the last laugh because Ipswich fans were chanting Tyrone Mings, he stamped on your face.
Of course, yeah.
Stirring up trouble.
Yeah, I got asked about that on my Championship review thing on the YouTube channel, and I did actually do a who started it type answer. So, Unfortunately, football banter never, ever, ever, ever ends. No one's ever going to take the high road.
Just don't buy the Sun.
Don't buy the Sun.
There you go.
The rag. Yeah, exactly.
Richard, is the Magical Vegas sponsorship the reason for our poor season?
Yeah, absolutely right. Yep, totally agree with that. I was thinking about the new kits. We need to get rid of the blue background. If we keep Magical Vegas
on the block, idea for a program.
I find football kits up and down the country that have got sponsors' logos,
lady shapes
without the background.
Unbelievable. Benjamin, how do you say his name? Rich Aurier, sorry. What did you say, Dave?
Youth hosteling with Chris Eubanks.
He's still on march. Let's read Ben's question.
John Gordon. Sorry. Hashtag
monkey tennis. Who's had the biggest turnaround under Paul Lambert? In my opinion, it's got to be John Nolan. Who's had the biggest turnaround under Paul Lambert, Dave?
Biggest turnaround under Paul Lambert. Yeah,
got
probably
to turn around.
Probably is Nolan.
Silly now,
probably is Nolan, isn't it? Although I always liked him clearly from day one, but yeah, it probably is Nolan. But it could be under any manager. Now he's played more games. He's getting up to speed with the Championship. He's getting a run in the side. He's playing with slightly better players like Judge and Bishop probably. Yeah, I think there's no question about that.
Richard, Tim Pashley. Given the upturn in performances of late, not results I grant you, if the season started now, would we stay up? So that's a bit of a loaded question. If the season started now, so Wigan don't have their momentum from the previous year, Bolton are already bust, Millwall are turning on Neil Harris, and there's a lot of other context that goes in. But I think the tone of Tim's question is on us, Richard. If we started now with that squad and with Paul Lambert, where would we finish?
I think we'd probably be there or thereabouts, just above the relegation zone. And I think in terms of the question, I know it's kind of we're being selective here. The issue for me is just the stupid goals we concede. It's the defensive solidity that Harry and I were talking about. That if you sort that out, I think we're fine. Goals will come as well. But yeah, I think Lambert probably keeps us up.
Interesting.
I agree.
David, Barry, ITFC man, 2-part question. Who do you think will be player of the season, as we know Bart won't win it this time around?
Jesus. Wowzers. Well, until he got injured, I'd have thought Sears probably. Now for the running now for the next 10 games could be anybody. Could be Nolan if he strings, honestly, because there's no choice at all. Could be no. Well, honestly, could
Bullard.
be Nolan.
The new Bullard,
if they string if they string a few good performances together, I just would. I mean, who would you guys say? I mean, I wouldn't know who to call.
I want to sidestep that one. That's a horrible question.
Someone said today Pennington. I hate to give it to a lone player.
My suggestion would be if Chambers goes to Chicago Fire, if we find out that Chambers is leaving at the end of the season, we need to find a way to kind of acknowledge his.
Good point.
I know he's not been great this season.
Very good point.
But who has? So give it to Chambers if he leaves.
Yeah.
Give it Giggsy.
Till end of the season.
Lee Sharp.
This is the second part of Barry's question. So we'll go to Richard Woodward of the wildly popular preview show. When I say your full name, I can't help but say the end bit there. Do you think we'll close any of the stands, i.e. Sir Alf Ramsey, Sir Bobby Robson, upper tiers, to cut costs next season?
Did we talk about this last week, Dave? I think we said possibly, or maybe I forget. Maybe it was a few weeks ago. I think what I heard discussed is it's easier for us to shut one of them the other. But I think I remember the debate was what kind of does it say as a club in terms of our ambition and to shut them off. But I think if it's a business decision.
I think it's a business decision. Is it not easier to close, unfortunately, the upper Sir Bobby than Sir Ralph? Because obviously Sir Ralph, they've got the legends and the corporate bits in there.
I think so. That's what
that's what I read. So,
we did it against Sheffield United in the Cup, didn't we? I think
we did. Yeah,
we were talking about that a few weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, if we have £250 season tickets, then we'll need those seats, won't we?
And I just thought for years and years and years, so many other sides have this advantage of having the away fans behind a goal, housed up the top. I've just always thought, couldn't you? I know maybe security-wise, or is there not a way of getting the away fans into the top tier of one of the?
Just not sure. It just works. It just works where it is, isn't it?
Definitely gives an advantage, Dave, having them. Having them positioned where they are. You do not see that in any other stadium in the Championship. I'm trying to think any other stadium in the Championship. But Norwich will go really thinning up, and Leeds. But then you've got that main stand swamping everything up. But do you take my point that the away fans have a bit more of an influence here than remember at the Blackburn game? Yeah, fair.
Sorry, I'm just going to keep checking him in.
No, but do you know what I mean?
Milligan, please.
We could put them elsewhere. Ippy Land, could Nolan, Bishop and Skews be the answer in League One as a 3? Looks the best balance we've had in midfield with them supplemented by Dazelle and Downs, David.
Yes, agree. Yeah, and also good to see Nyden made a rare appearance on the. I know he didn't come off the bench, but he was back on the bench yesterday, wasn't he?
He was.
Young Nyden. So yeah, I do see that. Yeah, with the experience, Skews sitting in there for a season in League One. Yeah, I see that totally. You need that experience. You will need that experience. You can't just throw them all in. You can't.
Well, and Dave also
spine to the side.
It's quiet players on the pitch.
Yes.
Guion Edwards is a quiet player. Freddie Sears is a quiet player.
Skews is experienced, but again, do you get the?
He's not a talker, is he?
Skews, yeah. Yes, he is.
Is he?
Sure, you think he is?
Oh, no, I know for a fact. Yeah.
Talking of turnarounds, Guion Edwards has had a good run of form last few matches, hasn't he? Going back to the previous question.
Yeah. Getting there. I think.
No, he just came off the bench. He just came off the bench last week. So he came off the bench last week at half time, and shit, it's Greon Edwards. Hang on.
And
And then he was back. We said last week that he was back to his early season form. I thought he was magnificent last week. How was he yesterday generally?
I think he needs a lot of mentoring as well in respects of his positioning and his defending. Luke Chambers shouts at him a lot. He seems to be the one player who's getting in trouble off
Everybody,
Judge and off Chambers and off Skews. I mean, I don't know if this is just older players just yelling a lot, but that would be my. But obviously, I got my fingers crossed from. This is Chris Rand. Richard, do you think that nowadays there's a first division comprising the top 6 teams in the Premier League, a second division of teams from 7th in the Premier League to upper mid-table in the Championship, and a third division from halfway down there to League One? In that scenario, Ipswich have been a third division side for 10 years or more. It's just that the last but one manager kept us towards the top of that, quote, third division. I think I agree with that, Rich.
Yeah, and it chimes with some of the financial stuff that you've been discussing as well. So, it's a really interesting thought, that one.
Yep.
Maybe let the European people go off and do their Super League and all that kind of stuff as well. And let's have a recalibration, eh?
Yeah. Dave, this is Nath. It's a good name. What would be a reasonable season ticket price for... You're the wrong person to ask, Dave, a man of your means, aren't you?
How much did you pay for corporate?
I don't know what you mean. I haven't got corporate. I go
Joe
corporate
Fairs
sometimes.
has.
I haven't got corporate. Joe Fairs has.
Pat
A
has.
reasonable price, reasonable, yeah, for a little while. A reasonable price for a season ticket. I don't know really. I mean, what's the average spend on that? Because
How much is a pint of milk, Dave?
I've still got. Sorry. How much?
Carry on.
Mate, no. 30p? I don't know. I have because I still sit with my lad. We have these seats in the bloody family enclosure. We've had them for years because we sit with the same guys near level with the penalty area in in the co-op stand, and they're some of the cheapest seats I think in the ground. I can't remember how much they are, but you think, look, it's got to be at least 25% off. I'd have thought at least 30%. I don't know. Off the prices.
Is there some kind of...
quid. That's a nice round number, isn't it?
How much?
300 quid.
Rich, sorry?
For an adult ticket, 300 quid.
Do you remember, Rich, the Huddersfield guy, Dean Hoyle? It was, here's your season ticket, but if we get promoted, you get the one in the Premier League for 200 quid.
Right.
Or what have you. Can we do something, something for 2 years, or I don't know.
It sounds like Lambert's tried to have a word with Evans, so we'll see. But
tell you what, he needs to come up with something fairly innovative, I'd suggest. We'll see.
Have to close the top ends of the north and the south.
But I was going to say, when we said about that that conversation, Cardiff got promoted with the top tier of one of their stands closed, and Bristol City most weeks don't open the top tier unless... And Rich... Villa as well. Unless they're
Trinity,
up the top, Trinity Road is closed off, isn't
Sunderland
it?
done it, one of their main stands as well. So,
Sunderland all the way around the top.
Yeah.
Right, Jax Larder asked about Jackson. I think you've covered that. Centre-back pairing. Simon asks, who do you expect our centre-back pairing to be in League One? Chambers and Wolfenden with Nsiala as backup would be my guess. David?
Yeah, I'd go with that. Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen... Obviously, Wolfenden play since he's been at Swindon, but I think he's been fairly ever present.
I'm going to say something really ignorant. What division is Swindon in?
I think they're League 2.
Yeah, I think they got relegated to League 2, didn't they?
I think they're League 2. I think they're League 2. I think they're upper echelons, I'd like to say, of League 2, I think. But look, he's been playing every week. It can only be good for him. I think he's been getting fairly good ratings reports as well. So yes, someone like him, if Chambers doesn't go off to Chicago or to Tulsa or wherever he's going, you'd see that as a great pairing.
Is Wolfenden a lefty? Is he a left foot?
No, I think he's right-footed. Unfortunately,
I think that Lambert quite wants a left-sided centre-back to be a left-footed, isn't he? So that might be another Oren Darber or someone like that.
Super Franz, Richard. It's been said that we need to do our summer work early. Does the fact our pre-season is pretty much done by mid-March give us our best chance of bouncing back?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because we know where to be looking for players, don't we? So, I'd agree. I think it would be good if we'd got our shopping list sorted and come May or June or whatever, when the window opens again, get in there quick and, yeah,
It's got to be the way, hasn't it? Surely the more you have, more you have time to work with these players, it's got to be better, hasn't it? Of course.
And we've been talking about seeing the rest of the squad as well and figuring out who he wants to get rid of, because there's a load of players out of contract, aren't there, as well?
Just
Young players who may be on the cusp as well. So yeah, if we're basically down, let's experiment and use the time properly rather than just seeing the season out.
Yeah. Last one, Dave. This is James Gulk, mainly a question for DD, as I think Ipswich is a similar vintage to me. In honour of the great vocal town following yesterday, what songs did town fans sing in the glory days of the 70s and 80s, and how has the football atmosphere changed?
I can't repeat some of those in this day and age.
Oh no, please don't.
Oh my word. Blimey. So the Norwich song, Hark Now Here, Ipswich Sing, that's always sung. Obviously, He's Here, He's There, He's Everywhere. Johnny Walk, that was obviously a very popular one. No different really. I mean, what I would say, the big games, certainly the cup games and the European nights and stuff like that, where invariably we would win. Obviously, the rendition of You'll Never Walk Alone was commonplace, always, yeah.
So I haven't heard Keep the Blue Flag Flying High for about 20 years. We used to sing that one, didn't we? Or was I nicked that from Chelsea? Or QPR or whatever.
I think remember that. Can't remember singing
Portman Road to Wembley or something. I don't know.
Yeah, perhaps, but perhaps that was even after those days. I'm talking 70s, 80s. That was perhaps a little bit later than that, even. But yeah. So yeah, no real. Not that I'd say not perhaps the variety of songs that there are now, and obviously newer ones coming out. You guys go away a lot. Newer ones coming out most weeks, isn't it? Pretty much.
Yeah, my favourite is still Sky TV is effing shit, because it's just like at school when you're chanting something silly, knowing that they're going to have to turn the sound off on the game. It just makes me.
We apologise if anyone heard me.
Hey, don't knock Sky TV, because aren't we the main game on Tuesday?
Tuesday we are, yeah.
No red button really? Tuesday, fellas. Yeah.
Goodness me, does that mean we get
403?
David Prutton and Liam Racine? Yeah, lovely stuff. Let's do the roundup. I'll do Norwich 1, Swansea 0, because I was there. And Norwich didn't play very well, and they ground out a win. Dave and I had a little text conversation. Yeah. I compared it to when we beat Crystal Palace at the end of the promotion season. Didn't play well at all. David Johnson scored. Ashley Cole was the best player on the pitch, and
he was.
We just did it. Let's go on to Leeds United, who are on a little bit of a roll, Dave. Bristol City 0, Leeds 1. Bamford again. Was it?
Yeah, collided with the post. Yeah, big win, massive win that for Leeds.
Yeah, they had the hardest game. All the top
very
3 won,
much so. You'd think being a Norwich fan, the way things have been going for Norwich recently, you'd think they would say, we're going to be 5 points clear because Leeds will get tucked up at Bristol City. But no, that keeps them hot on their heels. And isn't it this coming weekend, Ben, or soon?
I will be there. Leeds Sheffield United. I got sorted out for a ticket for that one. Yeah.
Is that Saturday or when is it?
This coming Saturday, yeah.
So you'll be up there, yeah.
I'll be up there, yeah. So
wow.
That means I'm going to get loads of stick again for not being.
Wow, that's a big game.
There we go. Richard, Sheffield United 2, Rotherham 0. Blades keep up the pace. Home record's good, but like Dave just mentioned, it's all about Saturday, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's tie up there, isn't it? I think it was Michael Brown who was on the EFL Championship show. He's played for Leeds and Sheffield United, and Prutton said who's going to get second place, and he couldn't decide. It's going to be tough, and that could decide it, that game, really, couldn't it?
Just seeing, so Leeds have got Reading.
They got Bolton or something.
They got Reading at home, I think, or was it away or at home this week in midweek, and Sheffield United have got Brentford at home. That's no
Brentford on run as well.
Yeah.
That'd be a good game, that, actually.
So some fairly,
Norwich have got Hull at home, who are on the beach, probably.
On the beach, yeah.
Let's hope Jared Bowen has a nice bowl of cereal and Kamil Krasicki's deciding it's going to be one of the games where he's ridiculous in rather than one of the games.
Norwich have got bloody Hull, then I think they've got Rotherham and then Borough, so meh.
Borough 1, Brentford 2, Dave. Borough, I thought, were coming into kind of reasonable playoff attacking form. They'd had like a few clean sheets, but Brentford are pretty good under Thomas Frank now, aren't they?
Bloody well, and started a win away. I think it's only their second away win of the whole season. I think.
Wow.
Yeah, I think so. Well, second away win in 16, so virtually the whole season.
I think that might be their first win at Borough since something like 1930 or something stupid as well.
Probably haven't played that much, but
True.
Yeah, they're going really well, and we know they can score goals for fun. But it's probably, what are they, 49? Yeah, they're probably a little bit too far off the push
Derby
just yet.
won Wednesday one, Rich. I saw Wednesday on Monday, and they looked like us under Mick McCarthy. Steve Bruce was tweaky from the side there. But
Pragmatic.
Derby have really opened this up for Forest and Villa and all those teams below. Really not in good form at all.
Really lousy form. The thing that I picked out of this game was Dominic Iorfa scoring again.
Saying we running.
It's crazy.
I mean,
Where's he come from?
Ironically, with the point, Derby actually went back above Bristol City to 6th. And what I did notice about that also, which could be key for them, Marriott was back. Marriott came off the bench yesterday, so he's back and fit again.
Bristol City's game in hand doesn't also happen until I think like the Wednesday before the final day, and it's at Millwall, who are probably going to really need the points. Yeah, so that's not a helpful. Well, I know it's always helpful to have a game in hand, but you could do with it being at home to Ipswich, couldn't you? But they've got that one on Tuesday. So Forest 3, Hull 0. Dave, Forest are good at home. Don't win away. And
they're on a good
Forest
run.
Villa on Wednesday. That's a nice little playoff game, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Forest are only about 2 points off, I think. They're close. Yeah, they're playing some good stuff.
Great goal by Carvalho. Did you see that? Did you see the goal by Carvalho?
First time, hell of a strike. Yeah,
Should
great
be for
goal.
13 million euros, shouldn't it?
Well, good point. Yeah, good point, I suppose. But yeah, they're having a great run. Yeah, but you're right. I think they're a bit flaky away, Forest, aren't they? As we'll see on Saturday, no doubt.
It's so annoying, isn't it? Even as far up as West Brom, none of them are playing well. None of them. West Brom, Borough, Derby, Bristol City, Forest, Birmingham, Villa.
I was speaking to my boys earlier on today. We watched. I was saying until the goal. Okay, it was a derby. I think I put on the WhatsApp group. Christ, this game's turgid, and it was shite, wasn't it? I know, but look, I'm not convinced that the league this year.
Well, we'll see how the top two do next year. I still maintain that Norwich and Sheffield United are probably like a 7 out of 10. Leeds can hit 9 out of 10 where nobody else can, but there's no Wolves, where it's 10 out of 10 or. Newcastle, there's not a lot of quality. And with West Brom's collapse, that makes it kind of look even worse.
I think you're right.
I was at this game today, so I'll be very interested in your comments. Birmingham 0, Villa 1. Richard, Jack Grealish assaulted on the pitch by a Birmingham fan. And then, obviously, because he's brilliant, scores the winner up the other end.
Yeah, and this... I don't want to use the phrase "the stage was set" or whatever, narrative and stuff like that. But I mean, we have to talk about how crazy it is that can happen, and it happened at Arsenal, Man United earlier on as well. Someone ran on the pitch.
Yeah, someone ran on the pitch. Yeah.
Really?
So something needs to happen about that straight away. Like this is, I think there's something Rangers, was it Hibs or something last week as well. So we talked about the Birmingham version of the Second City derby at St Andrews is nasty. And I wasn't surprised. It started off with Keith Bell absolutely just going back through the back of.
He did that at Villa Park as well.
And that set the tone. And I think
But Rich, I don't want to have a go at Birmingham. The thing they were doing was not only were they targeting him, but when he went down, they would all get over the top of him and say that he dived. Yeah. So that they would foul him and then all gather around him. I mean, I know he spends most of his life just getting grief. He just seems to be that type of guy. But
fortunately, so.
To be fair, as the game turns out, he's a strong character.
Well, what a reaction, isn't it?
Strong character.
Because other people might have said, you've got to take me off.
Absolutely.
But Villa fan,
he loves it though, doesn't
captain for the day.
I like it. I like it.
And he did the right celebration. Jumped in the way, and I'd have done exactly the same thing.
He thought I was right close to that goal. He thought about turning the other way and just running all the way up the
Adebayor
up the Birmingham. So
and then a steward gave him a kicking as well. Did you see that?
Steward gave him a kick and got arrested. Did you see Mings though? There was about 3 or 4 players in the crowd, and I looked, and when Grealish came out of the crowd, I think perhaps Abraham, was in there as well. The last out of the crowd was Tyrone Mings.
He had a lovely old time, Dave. Yeah,
he was great.
Played really well actually.
Yeah, a really nasty game, really crappy game, and Grealish, the star.
He was up there when he Mings. I mean, they love him. I think and they made him captain now as well.
No,
he was captain after Grealish went off.
Oh, I see. Okay, he, whether again they'll
centre back as well. Centre back.
They're not gonna go up. Villa, are they big? Well, they're probably big enough to keep. They're gonna. Well, you think
they're not far off it, are they?
Well, they're no. I'm sorry, they're no worse than Derby, Bristol City, Forest, or You know,
Yeah,
they have a run, and they've got a lot more quality than some of those other teams. Hurahan, McGinn, I know we always list it. Adoma, I don't know, El Ghazi, meh, but
want to be yeah, good point. Actually, we want to be facing them with momentum in the playoffs. I guess, would you?
well, I hope
if I'm asking, sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Rich. Go on.
I was going to say, if I'm asking a Twitter question, I'm saying to you guys, what's the proportionate response from the Football League for Birmingham City?
Well, a Leeds
in your
fan
view?
tweeted me earlier and said that the guy who ran on and thumped Chris Kirkland at Sheffield Wednesday, which was last season, got, I think, 16 weeks in jail and a 6-year ban or something like that.
Yeah,
So there's a precedent there.
But Birmingham have got history because
high profile.
Enkelman has also been,
Yeah.
confronted with a noise. But I think they've got to do something. You got to set a precedent because it's.
Well,
otherwise it's
Birmingham have made all the right noises, and Monk made all the right noises.
Said the right stuff too.
This guy will get surely he'll get a life ban. He'll get a life ban from football.
They've promised that already, but it's just whether
the club itself is. Don't know.
Yeah, but certainly interested. Really quickly, it did so remind me of the Ipswich-Norwich rivalry where one team just can't get one over on the other. And it so reminded me of the game where Maddison scored, where the other team had one quality player and it just ground them down and he put one in the second half for 1-0.
And it's almost as bad as this. It goes back. They haven't beaten them since
7 years,
2010.
I think.
Is it 2010? Something like that.
Yeah.
Almost as bad.
Right, boys, let's go through this nice and quickly. Rangers 0, Stoke 0. I'm going to plead the fifth on that. Blackburn 0, Preston 1. Preston have done this twice now. I think they took 7,000 fans to Blackburn. They did the same at Bolton.
Is it not like 15 minutes on the train?
I know, but Dave, look, that's probably 60% of their home attendance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't get that many at home.
What a day out, though. What a brilliant day out. And Johnson scores a winner as well.
2-2 for John Sai. Richard, Reading 3, Wigan 2. Yaku Maite scores in the 97th minute. I've read the stats. They go against Reading as well. There's something in the air there. And we said this for weeks. If one team wins 3 games in 5, they are out of it and clear, and that's been Reading, hasn't it, Rich?
And we were expecting Oliveira's injury to make a difference, but yeah, Barrow stepped up, scored a goal from a drop ball that should have been contested or something. About that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a nice finish by Mate in the last minute, isn't it? And Wigan are in trouble now as well. That kind of game was a proper 6 points, wasn't it?
Yeah, but Wigan's away record as well. You'd think. I always just think with Millwall, if you've got Cooper and Hutchison and you play tight, you can always win a game and score from
Millwall lost to Bolton, didn't they? Wasn't it 2-1 that they lost to Bolton?
Yeah, so that's the last one.
Another,
to Millwall. But just in terms of the two being able to stay up, where would you rather go, the Den or Wigan? I suppose I suspect Wigan's the harder place to go on paper this season. Look, we're running really, really long, guys, so I'm going to skip out the game, and we're going to go straight on to you and Harry will do Forest in great detail. So let's talk about Bristol City, Dave. They had that mad run, I think, in all comps with 2 FA Cup games, 9 straight wins. I'm getting YouTube messages every week saying thanks for Adam Webster, he's bloody brilliant. Jeju seems to be scoring, but Shrieky Lee loses in the cup, then away at Norwich, then a draw and then another defeat.
I think they've just won 1 out of the last 5.
How are you feeling about this one then, Dave?
Look, if we can keep obviously the same level of performance as we did clearly yesterday, then you think, they're going to be fairly anxious. They're going to want to they dropped out of the playoffs yesterday, went from 6th to 7th, overtaken by Derby yesterday. They're going to want to get back in there. We just need to keep up that same level of performance as we did on Saturday. However, you'd think Bristol City, from what you guys have said, are going to be a fair bit more organised perhaps than West Brom were under Johnson for sure. So difficult game, but I'd like to think we can get just keep the momentum going, get a point perhaps. How you feel,
Rich? Yep. In the first game, it's not going to go like this because Bristol City were in really bad form, and we went 2-1 up, and then Elias and Dave. What's the name of that left back? who always plays well against us.
Oh.
Really.
Kelly.
Lloyd Kelly. Yeah,
Yeah.
destroyed Spence down the side, didn't they? I think it's a bit of a different context now. Do you agree with much of what Dave said there, Rich?
Yeah, I think it has the potential to be a similar game to Saturday, actually. And the good thing for us at the moment is we're under no pressure whatsoever, are we? So teams like Bristol City need to win. West Brom needed to win. And that sometimes plays with you, doesn't it? So I think there'll be a bit of rotation. I think Pennington, if he's fit, will come back in. I reckon Jackson might start instead of Quainer, maybe. But I say, yeah, just do exactly the same thing. We might get another. I think we might get another draw.
And you see it every week on Harry's TWTD posts. If we can't beat Ipswich, insert team. If we can't beat Ipswich, if we don't deserve to be in the middle of the table, at the top of the table, down the bottom. Everyone expects to beat us, and a few.
I mean, quite an interesting thing yesterday. Say if it hadn't have been Ipswich yesterday, West Brom, and it'd have been, I don't know, a Brentford, say a 1-1 draw. Brentford would more arguably still be there now.
It wouldn't have been a 1-1 draw if it was Brentford.
Okay, bad example.
They
but
would
you
have
know
lost.
what I mean.
Yeah.
A Preston then, middle of the say, a
That's a
side
fair
like
point.
that, would probably chances are more would still
Dave,
be there.
I don't think it matters. I think it's the proximity of West Brom to the top two, and I think whoever they didn't beat yesterday, that's
who's going to
Leeds
go
won.
anyway.
Bye. This is the decision we've made. If you don't get automatic, we're going to try something else, and if it works in the playoffs, great. If not, we've got someone else in ready for next season.
West Brom Villa in the playoffs could be a bit tasty, couldn't it?
Well, I was saying for a while now, I can't see it not being West Brom Borough. I don't see anyone going above those two or below those two.
Yeah.
It could.
Gone. I was chatting to a West Brom fan in the pub yesterday, a mate of Mr. Skeet, who's a town fan, and he was saying that their dream is to beat Tony Pulis's Borough 1-0 at Wembley.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
Not gonna
It will happen the other way around, won't it?
Well, it certainly won't be at Wembley because one of them's got to get up to sort of two places above the other for that to happen. But yeah, it's certainly shaping out, and I know we've been there ourselves, but you would hate for poor Sheffield United to set such a great example, finish third and lose.
It'll be us 2004,
but Dave, go to Forest or something, play the game at Forest first and lose 3-0 and they're out of the tie or something like that.
How many years have we been? How many years back? 20 years ago, were we in that position? If you called it now, would you just say unequivocally Leeds and Norwich? If you called it now, no, but Derry, they are the top two now. But as you see it panning out.
I think so, Dave. Yeah. But if Leeds beat Sheffield United at Ellen Road,
that's
then,
the game, isn't it? Yeah.
Assuming nothing changes in midweek, then that's a 5-point.
The first they won at Bramall
go,
Lane, didn't they? They won at Bramall Lane with a
shit house. Dean Henderson made a horrible mistake.
Oh yeah, last minute.
Dave, where can we find you on Twitter?
At David Diamond 3.
And Richard, tell us about your wonderful show with the legendary Harry from Bath.
The magnificent Harry from Bath. Yeah, we'll be back. So it'll drop on Friday. Me and the magnificent Harry from Bath. We had a really good show about books, by the way.
Yes.
So I definitely recommend that. Have you got any? Dave's got something.
I've got something. I brought this out because he did mention that his favourite book was Mr. John. I recommend that one as well, which is fantastic.
Say it out loud, Dave, for the
Brian Scoville. It is a book about the Cobbold School, football gentry, about the Cobbold brothers by Brian Scoville, who I think was a journalist. Harry will put me right with the Mail or the Telegraph. And that's a fantastic book also. But I agree with Harry. Mr. John is, you probably read it. It's a great insight. It was some tapes, I think, that John Cobbold was doing for his book memoirs that he left with Mel Henderson, and they were going to write it together. And he died, I think, before it was before he could put it all down, I believe. But yeah, it's a great book. But that's an excellent one. That
you can't. So Mr. John, I was looking for it. You can't. I haven't read it. You can find it on eBay or Amazon for 90 quid because they've stopped printing it. So if you've got it,
I'm going to put mine up there tonight.
Yeah. So listen again to the Thursday show, the last week's preview show. If you skip onto the questions, we'll talk about football books, and we'll probably try and do a thread on that. But we'll be back to talk about Martin O'Neill and Roy Keane's Nottingham Forest Friday. And you can find me at Ipswich on the Twitter.
And you can call me Uncle Ben now, Dave. So dedicate this show to my wonderful.
What was it?
My wonderful sister. So
what mate was it?
It was Max. So Max Randall, born on Friday night in Norwich at
congrats.
5 o'clock. So that worked out quite well because I was
Fantastic.
literally in the city when it happened. So
Brilliant.
dedicate this show to my sister, and
Good stuff.
my family is one person bigger, and she's had a horrible long journey to get there. So I'm very happy.
Great stuff. Yeah, I know you told me. Brilliant.
Right, say goodbye, Dave.
Cheers, guys. Good to see you.
And say goodbye, Rich.
See you, everyone.
Even better back to Stewart. Oh, he's taking it back to Sweetly. Round the goalkeeper. And scores a magnificent goal at the top end.